Lee, so many people just don't understand what oil speculation is and how it drives up the prices that we're seeing right now at the pump. Give us a 10,000 foot. How does it work? How is there similarity between the oil speculation and the same thing we saw with the housing bubble?
What we're seeing right now, with extremely high prices for crude oil, has really nothing to do with market fundamentals of supply and demand. And this is something that is crucial to understand, because actually what we have now is demand at a lower level than the same time as last year and previous years, and supply is actually at a record high level. Production, domestic oil production, is also at a record high level. You have regulators and industry experts all saying that there's an adequate amount of oil. So why are prices rising so rapidly? Well, there's a huge market of unregulated speculators. These are hedge funds, pensions, big banks, and oil companies that are going into the futures market and buying up contracts. And there's a legitimate place for derivatives or some speculative activity for legitimate users, like food manufacturers or airlines that want to reduce the risk of price exposure in the future, because they need to buy large quantities of oil or whatever for their industry, and they want to basically hedge and not have to worry about price volatility.
Well, let me ask you something. This is to simplify this, though. The way I see it, you've got the same creepy, grimy, fingered thugs doing the same thing we see them do all the time. Again, people wonder, why do we talk about the Koch brothers so much? Again, they're at the bottom of this too. There's something that's called contago, and that's where, basically what they do is they load up super tankers, don't they? This is one example. Load up super tankers, park them offshore. In other words, buy up as much oil as you can cheaply, and then play the timing of when you release that oil, right? In other words, sure. Well, you affect supply. You artificially affect supply by removing oil from the market. That's what the Kochs have been doing. That's what Exxon, all these, certainly the refinery companies have been doing this, and that ties right into speculating with things like derivatives, doesn't it?
Yeah, and in any market, information is king, and he who holds the most information is able to make the most precise bets, the right speculative trades. And Koch is unique here because they're an oil company. They specialize in refining and shipping oil. They don't do much drilling, but they control a huge amount of physical space in terms of storing the oil, importing it in huge tankers, controlling the pipelines, controlling the distribution networks. So they have superior information. So when they go into these speculative markets, as just like any hedge fund or any other big investor, they've got better information. And this contango situation that you're talking about, where they know that at the current rate, and this is what Goldman Sachs and other speculators that have come out and said on the record just last week, that because of speculative activity, prices are going to keep rising. We're going to see $5 a gallon gas just in a few months.
Well, representatives from the Koch industry said they are doing. They have made presentations. Matter of fact, that you've documented in your studies of these creeps. My God, how ugly can two brothers possibly be? Why is it? I get emails sometimes. Why so much focus on the Kochs? Because everything they touch is ugly. I don't know how else to put it. This is another ugly story where what they're doing is their own representative comes out and he says, yes, we're speculating in a way that we're removing oil from the market to basically game the market. That's what their own people say.
That's the unique thing about Koch, because big banks and hedge funds will use every trading strategy there is to try to make more profit. But Koch has not only superior information, they have the physical capacity to manipulate supply. And, in the end of 2008, when prices were crashing down to $30 a barrel, they said, this speculative activity is going to raise the price again into 2009. So what they did was they leased 4 super tankers and just loaded them up with oil. And, a lot of people didn't notice it.
Was it 200 million gallons that a super tanker holds? Some ungodly. It's just
these VLCCs can hold huge amounts, and it's not just these tankers. They have, and it's not just offshore space. They've got a huge facility in Oklahoma, Cushing. They've got other storage facilities, so they can store massive amounts of oil. And they trade 50 different blends of crude. And a lot of people just think oil is oil. No, refineries can only refine certain blends of oil. So if they control a certain
okay, so let me
blend and they can just store it offshore, they can actually make a sizable difference on the price of oil for everyone.
Yeah, so they store it offshore, and then when, say, Geneva or Singapore or Houston or Wichita, Rotterdam, wherever, when they see that the price is changing because they've artificially gamed the market, they've controlled the price by hiding the oil, hiding it offshore in these super tankers. And when the oil when there's a demand, then of course they go back to the market. Now, here's what's so crazy about it: the Dodd-Frank bill that was passed to avoid this kind of speculation. The Republicans have stopped that, and we see now the direct relationship between the Republicans who have they've done everything they can to interfere with the Dodd-Frank bill on speculating commodities. And now we see why, because we're seeing the money flow directly from these politicians' hands that are in the way of it, and the Koch brothers.
Look, when the Agricultural Committee, which has jurisdiction over this futures market, the energy speculation market, Congressman Frank Lucas became the chairman in January. His first hire, the first person he hired to run his committee, was a lobbyist from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who was the chief lobbyist for the chamber in fighting to stop Dodd-Frank and to carve out huge loopholes for energy speculation. And now Chairman Lucas is asking for a delay of the speculative rules that are mandated in Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, and I've said,
months.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing they do is put in an industry crony to stop the effort and the effect of the Dodd-Frank bill legislation, which was supposed to stop exactly what the Koch brothers and Exxon and some of these companies are doing, which is to just game the system by loading up major-sized tankers, parking them offshore, and making it look like there is a run on oil to where prices go up, and then they come back into the market. That's what Dodd-Frank was supposed to be stopping.
There are multiple factors. Some part of it is the physical manipulation, but it's also just synthetic manipulation, where they're taking these commodity indexes, where it's basically a basket of different commodity futures contracts. They're loading them up, and then they're selling them as these these financial instruments that hedge funds or big banks or very wealthy investors and folks like Koch, which in the documents they say that their customers aren't just airlines and other traditional types of consumers of these financial instruments, but no, they're also hedge funds. So
let's look at this. There's another side to this. If you make the price of oil climb and climb, what does it do to the economy? It tanks the economy. What more valuable thing can happen for the Republicans right now than to tank the economy? You can do it with fuel alone. Geithner's out there saying now, oh, gee whiz, the higher prices aren't going to tank the economy. He knows what's happening here. Obama knows what's happening here. They can do something about it. They can jerk this guy off this committee right now and do something about it immediately. They could investigate to see who on the committee is getting money from the industry directly or indirectly. They could have some hearings that put these people in the hot seat, possibly put them in jail for not doing their job, and having a pretty interesting story on why they're not doing their job. Who's getting political contributions? Where's it coming from? How much money has Exxon put over there towards this ridiculous committee that is the CFTC. They can do that if Obama would show some background, some backbone, and do something here. He could do it. And that's that's the ugliest part of the story. Geithner's out there saying this doesn't mean anything. The high oil is not a problem. That is ridiculous. They're trying to tank the economy, and you got Obama still unable to find a backbone to do anything about it.
Well, look, I will say this. Obama should have been more bold and more out front in this issue, but I think he's had a wake-up call in just the last week. He started talking about oil speculation for the first time, I think, Tuesday last week.
Yeah, good God, but that's the problem, Lee. That's the problem. What does it take to get this guy's attention? They're trying to tank the economy, and he's just now understanding how in the hell it connects.